I have spent more than 7 years working in Azure, and today I'm going to tell you something that took me way long to admit. If all of that knowledge disappeared tomorrow and I had to start again from absolute zero, I would be back to doing this job at professional level in just about 6 months and not 7 years. This right here is the exact path I would follow month by month, and by the end of this video, you'll have the whole thing. Hi, my name is Praveen Singh, and I run a cloud consulting firm, and I've been building on Azure for almost a decade. These days, I'm also the person hiring cloud engineers, and this is Cloud with Singh. In this video, I'm going to walk you through all 6 months, what I would keep from my original journey, and what I would skip completely. And make sure you stick around for the stage 4 because that's where the certification finally show up in this plan. And honestly, that placement changes everything. Now, when I say 6 months, that probably sounds like a brag, and let me be clear about something. This is opposite of the brag. This is confession, because when I look back at my 7 years, honestly, most of that time was not spent getting better at the job. Most of it was spent actually figuring out what matters and what doesn't. I spent my first 2 years collecting certifications before I even had broken anything real. I memorized services that I have never touched to this day. I followed tutorials that worked perfectly every single time, which means they taught me almost nothing because production never really works perfectly. And the moments that actually made me good at this work were the tiny handful. The first time I locked myself out of something important, or the first migration plan I had for real client, where a government organization was actually depending on us to get it right the first time. And the first two morning incidents where the documentation had no answers on how to actually solve it, and I had to understand the system in front of me. A few months ago, I published this roadmap video where I gave beginners an 8 months plan. And some of you are going to ask how both of these numbers can be true. The answer is simple. 8 months is price of building judgments from scratch, and 6 months is what's left when you already know what to ignore. So this video is really a list of what I would actually ignore. Alright, so stage 1, which is month 1. I would spend the first 2 weeks learning about fundamentals. And I mean the boring one, like what is tenant, what is subscription, how does identity work, and roughly how the networking fits together. This is AZ 900 level knowledge, but notice what I'm not doing. I'm not signing up for exam because this is the part I would do differently. I would deploy something real in a very first week. Not a project that gets deleted afterwards, but a small application that lives at a real URL in my own subscription with my own credit card attached to it. And the bill actually matters because the moment your own money is on the line, you start asking the question that real engineers ask, like why is this costing me $4 a day and how do I shut it down properly? The deliverable for the month 1 is simple. By the end of it, there's one running thing on the internet that I built, that I paid for, and that I can explain. And if you are not subscribed to the channel yet, please bump the subscribe button and come join my learning community, because this whole channel is basically me handing over a decade of these lessons so you don't have to pay for them twice. Stage 2 covers month 2 and month 3. This is where most of the real skill lives. I would take one small application and build everything around it properly. I would put real identity in front of it, lock the network down, set up the monitoring, and get the storage right. And write all of this as infra as code from the very start. And then I would do the thing that almost nobody does. I would break it on purpose. I would delete a resource and try to recover it. I would lock myself out and find a way back in. I would push a bad change and roll it back. Because I have seen this pattern in client environments over and over. The engineers who struggle are the one who know 20 services at the surface, and the engineers who grow are the one who knows 5 services all the way to the bottom. One project built properly, then broken, and then repaired dozen times will actually teach you more than what you will learn in 2 years from certification preparation. And I can say that with confidence because I'm the person who did the 2 years of certification preparation. Stage 3 covers month 4 and month 5. This is where I would stop being a generalist. I would pick one lane and go deep. If I was choosing today, it would be platform and infra, because that's where my interest lives. But yours might be data, security, AI, or infrastructure. The lane matters less than the depth. And this is also where I would bring AI tooling into my daily driver. And I want to be honest about how this should work. I would let AI write my first draft of almost everything: the template, the script, the pipeline definitions, and then I would try to interrogate every single line before it ships. Because the jobs in 2026 is not typing the syntax anymore. Job is knowing whether the thing that gets generated is actually safe, correct, and worth deploying. That judgment is the product now. And the judgment only comes when you are breaking and repairing something you did in stage 2. Stage 4 is month 6, and this is the part I told you to stick around for, because this is where certification finally enters the plan. They show up at the very end, dead last, and that is on purpose. I would sit the AZ104 in month 6 after almost 5 months of building, and honestly, at that point, I would expect it to take at least 2 to 3 weeks of focused preparation. And the reason for that placement is super important. When the certification comes last, it becomes a receipt for skills you already have. When it comes first, it becomes a substitute for skill you don't even have yet. And hiring managers can smell that difference within about 5 minutes of the conversation. I say that as someone who sits on the hiring side of the table. The rest of the 6 months goes into making the work visible. I would write up the project properly, put the code somewhere public with the real readme, and explaining the decisions, including the ones that went wrong. Because the engineers who get hired are not the one with the longest list of badge. They are the one who can walk you through something real that they built and defend the choices they made. So if I zoom all of the way out, the biggest mistake of my original 7 year is the same mistake I watch beginners make every single week. I front loaded the certification, backloaded the building, and the entire trick of 6 months version is that I flipped the order. The content didn't change, order completely changed it. And the order is honestly the game here. Alright, that's the honest version. 7 years of wandering compressed into 6 months of sequence, and the only thing all of that extra time really bought me was the judgment to know the difference. And I'm curious about one thing, and I would love an honest answer in the comments. How long have you been studying cloud without having to deploy a real thing? There's no judgment from me because my own answer used to be 2 years. Let me know what you're working on this month. Go build something real, and I will see you in the cloud.